Hey everybody, Matt Lash here, just waiting and getting set up. I thought we'd go live, say hello to everybody. Hey everybody in the chat, Carlton Wood, Attila the Hun, Mile Marker, hope everyone's good. Mile Marker saying 6-3, hopefully 7-3, fingers crossed. Carlton Wood says, was wondering if signing an extra tight end to the practice squad was anything to do with Laporta's injury. So that's actually what Ash just said to me in the pre-show, as it could have a relation, and I mean it makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah. potentially so. Questions in the chat about Terry and Arnold. I think now he has logged a no practice Wednesday and Thursday. I believe he is out. I don't think he can pass protocol now.
Yes, it has to. You have to local limited a full practice, and then after the full practice, have the independent stuff with the doctors. So yeah, it's looking very doubtful at best that he plays.
Pat O'Connor downgraded to did not practice today, which is not great. Kirby's still not practicing. I think that Amik did not practice.
Yep, gone from not listed yesterday to listed with a hamstring injury, limited practice today.
So limited. Sorry, I thought you said did not practice. That would have been worrying.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent.
Pascal's the same. Frazier's the same. Decker's the same. Davenport's the same. Connor's down to no practice. Great.
But I mean, Aiden being full go, Glasgow being full go, that's really good news.
Yeah. Well, Aiden said he'd be fine anyway. I wasn't too worried about him. It's just...
Yeah, but Saul said he'd be fine, and Decker thinks he'll be fine, and they're both limited. Yeah. So, it doesn't always go that way.
No changes there. Ah, shit.
Brent just said Kirby considering surgery and Laporta hobbling isn't good news. I haven't heard that Kirby was considering surgery, but that's probably just me missing the news.
Nor Vi, to be honest.
I'm sure you're right, Brent. I just haven't seen that yet. Carlton said O'Connor did limited practice yesterday, but no practice today. No, O'Connor limited, Wednesday, and then did not practice today. So maybe he re-aggravated something. Not sure. Duncan Stewart's saying TA questionable after concussion. I believe, Duncan, that Terrian is now out because in order to pass the concussion protocol, he has to ramp up his training through the week, and he has not ramped it up. So I don't think there's enough time for him to do the limited and full practice he requires, as well as being signed off by the independent physician before being cleared. I think when you're in the protocol, by Thursday, you need to be doing limited practice. So that's basically done. Like, no chance, no shot. We are in the midst of a storm here in the UK. The aptly named Storm Claudia, which, considering the traitors have been on and Claudia Winkleman was the host of that show, very, very apt. It means that Anne is having some trouble getting on.
Yeah. We didn't get to name a storm because it started around Spain. They named it, but they chose a very good name considering where it's ended.
Oh, I'm sorry, Storm Claudia.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's alphabetically named, we don't care.
Yeah. And wait, hang on, is England about to go to? No. I've got the England match on the TV.
I'm not watching it. Ooh, Ronaldo sent off and Ireland 2-0 up against Portugal. Ooh.
Ha 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 ha.
Ooh, that's tasty.
Hashtag not my goat.
Oh, wow. So Ronaldo booked for a swinging elbow into the back of someone, and then he gave him a crying face afterwards, and then VAR went and checked it and sent him off. Oh, that's great.
Foden, Jude Bellingham, and I can't see who the other player is looking to come on for England.
God, only being 1-0 up at home against Serbia is bleak.
Serbia are sitting back and just.
I don't care. We
Doing
beat
the
them
local.
5-0 in the first round. Like, we should be battering this team.
True.
Marmarker said, just went and looked at your weather map. UFFDA. I don't. What does that acronym mean?
UFTA.
UFTA, Scandinavian interjection popular in parts of the United States for Scandinavian heritage to express dismay, surprise, discomfort, or sympathy. Equivalent phrases to, oh no! It's not bad. It's raining very, very heavily here, but it's not particularly stormy yet. The weather warnings start at 6 a.m. tomorrow here.
Speak for yourselves. As a member of the network route, the national route now, I know there's been some trees on some lines. It's just been fun to deal with. So we had one down in Nottingham on like one tiny bit of track, and it affected services as far south as you guys and as far north as Glasgow. So
yes, I know what it's like. There's a leaf on the track. Cancel everything.
I mean,
I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't get reeled into it.
But because it's a fun thing. Because part of the reason that is because the leaves block the sensors, and then the trains become ghost trains that can't sense them, and they're scared they might accidentally send a train on a high-speed train into a slow-moving train because they can't sense the slow-moving train and cause big crash. So they have to go and clean it with a very massive wagon. I've seen come through New Street a couple of times now. It's basically just a massive vacuum, but like floor cleaner, but like train-sized. Nice defending, is he? Love that.
Sorry, everyone, about the wait. We'll be getting along shortly. Attila just said O'Connor no practice 2 days in a row. No. He practiced yesterday in a limited fashion, apparently, according to the Lions, anyway, on lions.com. Limited yesterday, downgraded today, which is even worse, I think, than no practice both days, because it means things have gotten worse than where they were.
True.
Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well and that you've all had a good week and that sort of thing. It's been a heavy week of work for me again.
Same.
Yeah. And we're meant to be going on holiday tomorrow to the bloody Cotswolds in this awful weather.
Oof.
Yeah. Carlton Wood says at last, Ash, I've waited years to talk to someone about railway signalling and track circuits.
Yeah. It is fun. It is fun. You'd love what happened. Yes, this would be Monday. One bit of signalling again went out in Birmingham, and it was right as I started my shift, and they still hadn't fixed it by the time I finished at 10 o'clock at night. So there was no train to like Redditch now and send people on the buzzers.
Duncan says Skegness. Question mark.
Skeg Vegas. I haven't been there in a while.
Attila says you should retire. I wish. Do you want to give me the money to do that? I only need, conservatively, I'd say $2 million, and I would retire. I mean, all the lotteries.
Yeah.
Genuinely would give up my job if I won 2 million, I think.
Enough to live off.
Yeah.
Rated savings accounts.
Well, hey, I'll just get to Vegas in 2030. I'll win the World Series of Poker. That'll be $10 to $12 million, and then I'll just play the poker circuit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on to a winner. Anyway, Ant tells us to go because he's just going in and out with his signal. So Let's do this, shall we?
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the ROTL UK podcast, episode 375, Stay in Your Lane. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Ashley Soden. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. Bit tired because now on my rest days from work, but excited to break down some Lions football, especially after I missed the breakdown for us slaughtering the commies. And this week we've got to go and take on the other side of the Americans with taking down some Eagles.
That is, of course, what we're breaking down. It is going to be the Eagles preview show. We're going to go through some news as well. First, please do join our Discord channel. If you're on the audio pod, there is a link in the description of the show. Otherwise, links are in the live chat right now. Great place to chat. Lions, sports, the universe, everything all year round. College Football Podcast was aired yesterday. The guys talking about the surprise good story from each conference alongside lots of other bits and pieces. So do go and listen to that. It's on YouTube and Twitch right now for the replay. Please do like this episode, sub to the podcast. You guys know what to do. It genuinely makes a big difference to how many people listen to us and how the algorithm affects us. So thank you in advance. And let's crack on with this. Some roster news. We have released from the practice squad the offensive lineman Jack Conley, who was only signed last week. And in his place has been signed tight end Anthony Ferkser, who, of course, was with the Lions last season on the practice squad. Other news here. We'll talk about Ferkser in a minute. There's probably a reason why that's happened. A video has emerged of Amon-Ra St. Brown swiping, pushing, punching Deron Payne before Payne's punch back at him. Jared Goff took a shot at Lewis Riddick on that topic. Of course, Riddick had the awful take about the Lions videos and what have you the week before. Jahmyr Gibbs wins NFC Offensive Player of the Week for his performance against the Commanders. The Lions have also signed to their practice squad in the international player pathway position the former draft pick of the Lions this just gone draft, Ahmed Hassanin, revealed that he turned down opportunities with every other team in the league, including ones on their main rosters, to return to the Lions. If you listen back to his interview, he spoke about the fact that he effectively wanted to show loyalty to the team that cared enough to actually go and get him in the draft in the first place. So great to see that loyalty returns. I will say to the Lions, if they want to keep him long term, the way to show loyalty back to him is to put him back on the 53 as soon as you physically can. One, it protects him. Two, loyalty only goes two ways so long in that situation where you're getting paid $200,000 a year in his spot as opposed to, $700,000 or so. Loyalty is paid in cash sometimes. Final bit of news, Eminem and his manager Paul Rosenberg have taken up a role with the Lions like the one Jay-Z has with the league for the Super Bowl, becoming executive producers of the Thanksgiving shows for the next few years. Ash, your thoughts on any and all of those things?
So yeah, because obviously I wasn't here to break down the news of the Hassanin re-signing. We all knew it happened. It's nice to hear that, yeah, he has sort of loyalty. I know with his locker room interview, he also said he would drive back past the facility every day and would just want to be in there. But the good news is with the IPP spot, he has the same rules as any other practice squad player in that we can elevate him 3 times, etc. But he is also protected. The team can't snipe him to assign to their 53. He's basically effectively our player until we either cut him from practice squad or, sign him to the 53, which could happen, but we can elevate him 3 times. So anticipating probably just practicing with the squad and then towards the end of the year being elevated and then signed to the 53, maybe during the playoffs or something, just to get him on the 53. Yeah, get him that sort of opportunity if we need to. But with Davenport coming back, Pascal coming back, etc., you probably need a couple of injuries to happen in that position for that to happen. Did love the shot that Goff had against Riddick, though, obviously, with the Brian Branch video. It's just him memeing on that, but at the same time, nice to see him having BB's back after obviously what Riddick did and just having his players back. And I know Amon-Ra said he didn't mean to hit Ron Payne in the face, but bit of a reach up to do that. You've got to have some, you've got to sort of purposely aimed a bit high to do that. But the whinging the Commanders are doing about it, why didn't the flag hit? The ref was right there. Payne literally came back to Amon-Ra after that to do it to went against the flow of players. So they both would have been flagged for it then because Payne restarted it and Amon-Ra was just pushing him away. Is what it is. Enjoy your your 1 game suspension. And yeah, also it was kind of funny that Goff was revealing that when we obviously saw Kinlaw drawing to him, Goff pointed out that Kinlaw jumped off sides and Kinlaw was happy about that. Very interesting take from Kinlaw, but is what it is. Again, didn't really affect the outcome of the game, though he should have been also ejected for touching the ref, just like Jamie Collins in 2021. But they didn't want to eject 2 players after back-to-back plays. Interesting. And then Gibbs, happy he's got Offensive Player of the Week. Kind of shows that, yeah, yeah, he was getting a load of carries under Morse, especially the last couple of games. That's why we need the balance, because suddenly he became ultra efficient. That's what we need.
And hopefully his internet connection will remain stable. The Brick with Grit, Anthony Fitzpatrick is in the building. How you doing, man?
Oh man, it's getting bad up here. It is wetter than the crowd at a Magic Mike gig. Place is just absolutely sodden. I live right on the top of a hill, so the winds are horrendous. The rain's coming down. I think it's meant to be falling for like the next 28 hours, and it's already flooded up here, so it's causing all sorts of havoc. So if I keep coming and going, I apologize. If I go quick, then I might just leave it, but I'll try. I'm hopefully good.
I like the fact that you talked about how wet it is at Magic Mike gigs, and then you talked about coming and going like it was totally normal. But anyway, we move. We've just been talking through some of the news. Very briefly, Hassaneen's back, which is good news. Eminem's, executive producer of the Thanksgiving shows. Goff took a shot at Lewis Riddick. There was a lot of fun this week in Lions World. Oh, and of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown punched Deron Payne, which we all found out. And I say punched very loosely, because I think at most it was a bit of a push with an open palm. But the league does like to get happy about this sort of thing. They don't seem to have done here.
It's a nothing burger. Like, it barely touches him. Like, Deron Payne, if that's all it takes to upset him, then, every wide receiver in this league is going to start doing it to him and getting him ejected all the time. So they're just whiny little so-and-sos who were not happy that they were getting dunked on and beaten in a game. And, he threw his toys out, his pram. So, the fact the league have done nothing about it, 'cause the league love nothing more than to fine and suspend our players for absolutely nothing. So the fact that they've not even done something about it shows how little an issue it actually is. So the Commanders fans just need to shut up and accept that their team are whiny and they don't have grit anymore. So, tough luck for them.
Right, let's move on to the game itself. Lions at Eagles, Week 11 at Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is Sunday Night Football. That is a 1:20 a.m. kickoff time here in the UK. Of course, we will be live on the play-by-play, as I was about to say always are, but I will say mostly are, because I'm not here for Thanksgiving, and I don't know whether a stream will run in my stead for that. But anyway, I digress. We will be live from 8:10 p.m. Eastern, if I've done my conversion correctly. The betting for this game: Detroit are 5-4 underdogs. That's plus 125. Philadelphia 6-4 on. That's minus 150 in American odds. Detroit 2.5-point underdogs on the spread. Over/unders 46.5 points. The injury report is out for the Lions, and it does not make for particularly good reading. The most recent day were 4 no practices, including Terrion Arnold, who I believe is now confirmed out of the game with his concussion. I think he needed to log at least a limited practice today to be on track to clear the protocol in time. Kirby Joseph did not practice. I think they've already called him potentially out of this game anyway. Maybe they haven't, but it's rumoured that he may be considering surgery anyway. Tight end Sam Laporta with his back has also not practiced at all this week. There are rumours about that he may be out for a couple of weeks. And, of course, the Lions have signed Anthony Ferguson to the practice squad. It's never a good sign when you sign someone in a position where someone is not practicing. People might draw a conclusion between those two things. Of course, we've heard nothing from the Lions coaching staff about that, but it's pretty easy to see that they think there's a significant chance that Sam Laporta may not be able to go this week. And then Pat O'Connor, limited yesterday, being Wednesday, did not practice today, being Thursday, with his knee problem. Obviously, he hasn't been on the field for a little bit. That is a big setback for him, so hopefully he's okay, but clearly there's been a re-aggravation of his knee problem. There were 4 other did not practices on Wednesday, but they're all back, at least in a limited fashion. Sewell, Vaki and Brockwright all upgraded from did not practice to limited. Hutchinson went from did not practice to full practice today, which is really good news. Otherwise, all limited yesterday and today: Marcus Davenport, Taylor Decker, Miles Frazier, Joshua Pascal, DJ Reed, and Jacob Sailors. Amik Robertson was full practice yesterday, wasn't on the report, but was limited today with a hamstring problem. That could be significant, because limited in this fashion can mean that he started absolutely fine and then injured it during the practice, which meant he was limited in that he didn't complete the practice, but actually it could mean that he has suffered an injury where he may not practice for the rest of the week and then not play. We'll see what happens, but hopefully it's not as serious as that. But at this point, the injury report doesn't infer anything as to whether it's bad or good. I'm sure that the reporters will ask in the press conferences tomorrow about that. Otherwise, Graham Glasgow was limited yesterday. He was full practice today. And Malcolm Rodriguez, 2 full practices back to back. It looks clear that he is going to be potentially activated before this game goes. Dave Phipps, special teams coordinator, today talked about the fact that him coming back is going to be a big boost for the special teams. It's going to improve the quality and take the load off of other people with higher quality players coming back. That seems very, very clear that he's going to be activated. Carlton Wood in the chat says his 21-day assessment period ends on Monday, so at the very least, he must be activated by then or will be shut down for the season. Now, on the Philadelphia Eagles side of things, their report has not come out yet for Thursday. However, and I'll say this, it's very annoying when they list it alphabetically and not by did not practice limited in full. However, their entire roster is practicing in some capacity. It was only a walkthrough for them on Wednesday, but on Thursday it was confirmed that all of them are practicing in some capacity. Now, those limited included 4 of the starting offensive line: in guard Landon Dickerson, centre Cam Jurgens, tackle Lane Johnson, and guard Tyler Steen. Now, Cam Jurgens has not played for 3.5 weeks. He got injured in the Vikings game, and he was wearing a significant leg brace. I'm not talking about some little strapping here. He was almost wearing a full-on mega bastard leg brace. So I am not convinced, even with him logging limited or full practices this week at all, that he will be able to go. I don't think he will, and he hasn't done for the last few games. The others, of course, I mean, 4 of your 5 starting line being limited, that's just as bad as we were last week. So, not good for them. Otherwise, full practice designations for Willie Lampkin, who was poached from the Rams in really funny fashion in a scenario where there's a gentleman's agreement. You don't do something, and of course the Eagles went and did it. And don't they let the Rams know about it on Twitter? It's really funny. Nolan Smith is back. He's at full practice. He was back last week, his first game back, but he's still on the report, but full practice on Wednesday. Also on the report at full practice, Jacorian Bennett, the cornerback, who was activated from IR on Wednesday. Darius Cooper, the wide receiver, is full practice, and so is the long snapper, Cal Adomitis. The other bit of news from the Eagles, of course, they had Jair Alexander retire a couple of days ago. He was saying he was stepping away from football to basically sort his head out. I didn't realise that meant he was going to go on the retired list. Just sounded like he needed to take a couple of weeks off, but no, he's gone. We'll go on to other news in a minute for this team. I'll go through the injured reserve list because it pertains to the injuries that we've just talked about. So on this team, on the injured reserve at the moment, wide receiver, former FSU player Johnny Wilson, fullback Ben Van Summeren, offensive tackle Miles Hinton and Cameron Williams, outside linebacker and former Giant Aziz Ojulari and Ogbo Okoronkwo, and safety Marcus Epps. And then Willie Lampkin, he's not back from IR yet. He is designated for return. And then Jacorian Bennett was on IR to start the week, but then was activated Wednesday. He was also designated for return. I'll go through the team in just a moment, but boys, it's taken me about 10 minutes to go through the bloody injured list for both teams. The Lions have a huge number of players on there who are limited in some capacity. This is going to be a bit of a dogfight by both teams who are a bit banged up, but at least all 53 men for the Eagles are practicing. Ash, the Lions are suffering in some key positions. We might be missing some really, really big players.
Yeah, we definitely are. So I wrote, because we were talking about Laporta in the pre-show, he will be a big miss because as much as we are very big fans of Brock Wright on this show, the step down from Laporta to him is significant, and it'll make things a damn lot tougher against this good Eagles front. Frankly, a good Eagles defense that may be underperforming in parts, but very talented. Missing him will be a big thing, as is Arnold, because as much as we'll get into in a bit, AJ Brown thinks that everyone that has him on fantasy should drop him. As a owner of him on fantasy, I don't like the sounds of that. Having him out and then potentially Amy with this limited practice now, that's not a good situation either. Having Kirby out, not great, but seemingly we have shown we can deal in his absence for now with Harper, so that's not too bad. And then O'Connor, well, he's been active the last couple of weeks. He's very much on the chopping block, in my opinion, for when Pascal and Davenport have to get activated. He's probably one of the names that will be raised as someone that we can lose, and then maybe someone back to the practice squad if we can to bring him back. Tavinsall, Decker, at least limited. We know they were carrying some injuries. They'll probably both be fine. Same with hopefully with Amik. Reed, probably looking at next week, considering the timelines of activations from stuff. Though we don't really need him against the Giants, just having him to bed in against that before we have to face the mega offense that only put up touchdown on Monday night. Nice better way to bed him in maybe next week. And then having Glasgow and Hutch back, kind of full practice. That's good. We need Glasgow against this really good defensive tackle room for the Eagles, even though they lost players. Having Hutch back, I know obviously said yesterday the elbow injury wouldn't hold him back. Having him back against the best tackle duo in the league that's not ours would be interesting. And then having Malcolm back, but yeah, Boone on special teams. Maybe he can be the thing that finally fucking fixes the kick coverage so I can actually shut up about it for once. But just having him in the linebacker rotation means that maybe we can spell Barnes, we can spell Anzalone, we can potentially even spell Campbell in parts if there's certain situations, just to get them some rest, because we've been playing 100%. They've been playing 100% of snaps the past couple of weeks in our defense, getting them some rest. Rotating them in will help with injuries as well. So while there's some bad news with the injury report for us, there's definitely some good news as well.
This is hard looking, the injury report.
What it is during an NFL season, you have injuries, you have knocks, and it's a long season and you've got to go through it. And unfortunately, you've just got to have a next man up mentality, because this is a very big game. And, we're not in the habit of making excuses for losing these games. So, while you lose Laporta, you're going to have to help Brock Wright. Comes up and does well. The secondary have shown that they can, in principle, come up and make a difference when the starters are out. So, not Kirby for a long time now. The corners have been playing well. So, you've just got to keep going. But this is just simply what happens during an NFL season. Players take knocks. They get hurt. You've just got to keep grinding through it. So, most guys are trending towards playing. Obviously, hopefully you're going to have Rodrigo back. You're going to have a few new faces back this weekend, potentially, which will be good. So this team is still more than good enough to go there and win this game. So, yeah, but unfortunately, just part and parcel of the league, and you've got to deal with it.
Absolutely true. Right, let's talk about this team in the Philadelphia Eagles and their depth chart. They, of course, traded for outside linebacker Jalen Phillips from the Miami Dolphins at the trade deadline. As mentioned by Ash, wide receivers AJ Brown and also Devonta Smith publicly disgruntled with the team in terms of how its passing offense has gone. Apparently, the fans are also not happy with offensive play calling so far this season, despite the fact that their offensive passing DVOA is top 10 in the NFL, apparently. I find that hard to believe, but there we go. Let's go through this starting lineup for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, quarterback Jalen Hurts, he's backed up by Tanner McKee and Sam Howell. Running back is Saquon Barkley, backed up by Will Shipley, Tank Bigsby, and AJ Dillon. That is an embarrassment of riches at running back when AJ Dillon is your number 4. Wide receivers, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jahan Dotson, backed up by Darius Cooper and Xavier Gibson. Tight ends, Dallas Goedert, backed up by Grant Calcaterra, Kylan Granderson, and Cameron Latu. And then the starting 5 offensive linemen, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, and Lane Johnson, if Cam Jurgens can go. And I have my doubts on that. If Jurgens can't go, it will be Brett Toth, and the other offensive line backups are Drew Kendall, Matt Pryor, and Fred Johnson. Fred Johnson being the guy they bring on as a 6th offensive lineman as well. He did that fairly significantly in the Green Bay game. The defense, if I can do my bloomin' stats properly, here we go. Play a 3-4 base. 3 down linemen, Moro Ajomo, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. They're backed up by Ty Robinson and Byron Young. 2 outside linebackers are Nolan Smith and Jalen Phillips. They're backed up by Josh Uche, Jalix Hunt, Jalix Hunt and Brandon Graham, who of course has come out of retirement, replacing Zadarius Smith, who is retired. And then the inside linebackers, Zach Bourne and Nakobe Dean, backed up by Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Jihad Campbell, and Smail Mondon. I think Jihad Campbell's going to feel a bit perplexed that he's not starting in that team, but of course Dean has been playing with his hair on fire for the last year or so. So I think it's fair enough, and Campbell has seen a lot of reps anyway so far this season, with Dean being out injured for a significant period. Nickelback starters, Cooper DeJean, backed up by Michael Carter. There was some chat about the fact they think Michael Carter's been playing so well that they might actually improve him to the full-time nickel and put Cooper DeJean on the outside to replace Adoree Jackson, who has not played particularly well. Jackson is the starter, along with Quinion Mitchell. And otherwise, outside, they're backed up by Keely Ringo, Jacorian Bennett, and Mac McWilliams. Safety starters, Andrew McCooper and Reed Blankenship, backed up by Sidney Brown. Of course, Cooper DeJean can play back there too. Special teams. The punter is Braden Mann. I will say I think he's one of the worst punters in the NFL. Kicker, Jake Elliott. Long snapper, as mentioned before, Cal Adamitis. And otherwise, punt returners Jahan Dotson, kick returners Will Shipley. They're both backed up by Xavier Gibson. Boys, this is, despite the play calling or whether players are happy or not, it is a team of absolute names. Now, obviously, reigning Super Bowl champions, a rich pedigree. I think that on both sides of the ball, they're playing slightly worse than last year. But to spin it another way, they're 7-2 and there's room for improvement. I think that spells good times for them. It's actually an argument a lot of people have used about the Lions up until the last game. And I, actually as an aside, asking Dan Campbell about how well Jared Goff is playing and whether this is some of the best ball of his career after the game he just played, okay, I kind of get it. But if you remove that game, people were talking about the fact that Goff was off. How did everything change on one game? I don't understand that at all. But people were talking about the Lions in a disjointed way at 5-3 and with room for improvement being a really great sign. I'm going to put it to you guys. The 7-2 Philadelphia Eagles are not playing particularly well right now. And they are continuing to churn out these victories. And it's a team which, given all the star power back there and trading for people like Jalen Phillips, it feels like the only direction for this team is up. And we may be catching them at the right time here before that starts to happen.
Yeah, definitely. As someone who was unfortunate to draft AJ Brown from the start, it's just they have not been joined to their passing game. They've got it going some weeks, but then it falls away. But it's not just a passing game. Barkley last year was at 5.5 yards a carry. Now that's down to 3.5. He hasn't been efficient. Their receiving touchdowns are going around. Their leading touchdowner, as we'll get into in a minute, is Dallas Goedert with 9. None of their receivers have more than 4. There's just so many things that are just disjointed on the offense. In the same way it is with us, where they just don't have that rhythm, that flow they did last year. Same way with us. Like, they're on their third offensive coordinator in 3 years because they've been going here, there, and everywhere. Like, obviously, last year, Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. People remember him, obviously, as the backup here for a while, and then he was the offensive coordinator in Dallas. He's there for one season, does well enough. There were similar rumblings this time last year with him that there were some issues. They go and win the Super Bowl. He goes and takes an New Orleans job. They elevate to the role Patolo, who was their passing game coordinator and assistant head coach, to offensive coordinator. And it's just, it's the same kind of things with us where I think while it sounded funny that we were doing it when we were like the second best scoring offense in the league and that, they just don't have the offensive rhythm and it has hurt some of their players. And maybe, us catching them at the right time now where they're on the upswing, definitely, but as we'll get into in a bit, their win against the Packers wasn't exactly great. 0-0 at halftime, for instance. So getting there before they do just all put it together is a good thing, but I think they do have the rep, kind of like the Chiefs do, where it's okay that they're not exactly right now because they'll still be there in January, and that's when they need to play good football. They have that same rep around the league, and hopefully we can put an end to it and show that we deserve to have that rep as well. Well, we can have a bit disjointedness on the offense, but our defense has been amazing, as has theirs. We just don't have that credit in the bank that they do because they've been doing this for a long time now. We're still a few years behind them in terms of reputation gaining.
And this is going to be a tough game away from home. We relish playing away, but do you buy the fact that this team has plenty of room for improvement despite its start?
Oh, Phillies absolutely does, which is scary. They've gone, obviously they've won the Super Bowl. They've moved on from some of their more higher profile players. We pointed out the fact that 10 of 11 starters on this defense are on the rookie deals. They've gone very young on their defense, and they've gotten some of the vets out there. So obviously they've changed that round. You saw a little bit of, to start the season, vulnerabilities there. They've let a few points go, but it's young, it's developing. You saw, especially in the last game, these young guys now with a bit of experience mixed in with them, well, thanks to the trade market and people coming back, it's starting to get better, and it's only going to keep getting better when all these young guys get more and more reps in high pressure situations. And then offensively, as you said, just some of their top weapons are not happy, and yet they're still winning games, and they're still trying to figure it out. So the rest of the NFC should be worried about how much better these guys can be. And the critical thing is they win big games. The Lions have not done that so far. When it really, really matters, when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to a Super Bowl, they've got that mental edge. They can have all the dysfunction they want there, but let's be honest, they were having dysfunction last year when they were on their way to the Super Bowl. They were having issues last year when they went there. And yet, despite everything that goes on there, they're a team that has a different mental set to what we do. We have the whole grit thing. They have a winner's mentality there, which is just incredibly dangerous. A lot of these young guys have won a Super Bowl. They've been to the pinnacle. They want to win. And they're coming up against one of their biggest opponents for the 1 seed in the NFC. And everyone wants that 1 seed to get the home advantage, especially Philly. Philly seem to thrive off bringing people to their town and just absolutely whooping their ass. So, they're going to be up for this game. They're probably going to give the best game they've played all season. That's how good it'll be. So, yeah, there's nothing, even despite their inconsistent play and that, it's not to be discounted. It's what happens during the start of the season. And again, the way they've built this roster and the way they approach the season with the roster, it was always going to take time to bed in. And we're starting to see it now. And maybe it's at the wrong time. We're seeing it at the right period now for them. So we've got our work held out for us in this one. We've got to play a tremendous game. We've got to play a clean game. We've got to play a complete game. Otherwise, they will beat you, as they've shown the last 2 times they've done it to us.
Let's go through some stats, shall we? This is the 4th overall team by PFF, offense 6th, defense 9th, special teams 21st. DVOA has them 7th overall, so smidge less. EPA a bit less again, 12th overall, 15th on offense, 12th on defense. I've got some stats, offensive and defensive, to go through, but I'm going to go through it after talking about the players' stats. So on offense, Jalen Hurts on the ground, 63 carries for 234 yards, 3.7 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. That, of course, is skewed by the number of 1-yard gains he has on the tush push. 166 for 241, 69% completion rate, 16 touchdowns, only 1 interception leads the NFL in that statistic in terms of minimizing it. 112 passer rating, 63.3 QBR, PFF grade of 81.4, a good, not great season by his standards. I think a lot of people would agree, although minimizing interceptions is never a bad thing. Saquon Barkley is definitely having a down year by his standards. 149 carries, 579 yards, 3.9 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. 27 of 31 through the air, 200 yards receiving, 7.4 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns, PFF grade of only 63.8. Devonta Smith is the leading receiver, 48 of 62, 657, 13.7 yards per catch and 3 touchdowns, PFF grade of 80. And Dallas Goedert, the leading tight end, 34 of 45, 332 yards, 9.8 yards per catch and a team leading 7 touchdowns, PFF grade of 69.2. Other good grades in there, Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson with 82 and 78 respectively, and AJ Brown at wide receiver 72. Bad grades in there, Jahan Dotson starting wide receiver 54, at least in 11 personnel with starting wide receiver, and tight end 2 Grant Calcaterra 45.5. Third down, they are 27th. Fourth down, they are 8th. In the red zone, they are number 1 in the NFL, even though they have only had 21 trips to the red zone. They have converted it 17 times when they get down there. That's 81%. I'm going to say it again. They have only been to the red zone 21 times. They've played 9 games. 2.2 trips to the red zone per game. That's shocking. It's shockingly low. They're efficient when they get there because they're rolling, but they get there so little. Despite that, they're 12th in scoring. You know, this is what we're talking about here. A remarkably efficient offense, and they do score from deep sometimes when they do score, which is why they don't get into the red zone so much. Anyway, sticking with the offense for now, and then I'll throw it to the guys. Here's some key stats for you I've picked out. This offensive line, this lauded offensive line, that has been so good for such a long period of time. Here's why. Here's why Saquon Barkley has not been getting the yards that he should be getting. Amongst other stats. Pressure rate allowed. They are 26th in the NFL with a pressure rate allowed of 39%. Their time to throw is 3.2 seconds. That's second in the NFL, so they have a lot of time to throw. Of course, it's Jalen Hurts, so duh. Their rush stuff rate is 22.1%. That's 29th in the NFL. 1 in every 4.5 rushes that they have are stuffed. I think that is runs at 1 yard gained or less, or something like that. They're in 11 personnel almost 60% of the time, 12 personnel, so 2 tight ends on the field, 27% of the time, that's 12th. Run play action, 22% of the time, that's middle of the pack. They use motion 47% of the time, that's 28th, that's 5th last. And then they have an explosive play rate of 10%, that is 17th in the NFL. So they get stuffed a lot, they allow a lot of pressures, and they have a really high time to throw because basically Hurts runs around back there. Just a kind of crazy difference that this team has had so far this season. And I mean, it's a 7-2 team. Their expected wins are at 5.2. I didn't even go through that. Obviously, they got off to a great start to the season with wins versus Dallas, Kansas, the Rams, and Tampa Bay before losing to Denver and the Giants, and then getting back to winning ways with wins against Minnesota, the Giants, and then at Green Bay. I mean, so they've lost to Denver, but they've also lost to the Giants. I would say the Denver obviously have a terrifically good defense. Maybe the Giants, you could say, if there's anything they do have, it's a defense. Boys, looking at this offense, when we say there's a lot of room for improvement, we really mean it. This is not the offensive line we have come to expect from them. And frankly, Hurts has been dancing around in there, keeping them in games. But despite good PFF grades, they've struggled to run the ball behind this offensive line. Lane Johnson has taken a massive step back, despite whatever stats they want to put out there. The proof's in the pudding, because they ain't getting the yards they're used to expecting, and it's having a huge knock-on effect. They look disjointed. Yes, they're 12th in the NFL in scoring, but they're not like up there in the top 5 like they used to being. They don't control games like they should do. So, it can get better. But right now, they're not the team they were last year.
Yeah. And it's not without lack of trying. So one of the stats I have that you've put in my little section is the fact that they very much like us have a negative pass rate over expected. So obviously situations they're supposed to pass the ball, do they? Nope, they're minus 2.3% in that, which is 20th. So they're still trying to run the ball. They're 9th in outside rush rate as well, 54.7% of the time they go out that. They face light boxes on 54% of their carries, which is the 24th highest rate in the league. So they're getting some good situations, yet they only have a 44% success rate, which is 20th. They've got all this big name talent and it's not executing. Is it because Saquon's taking that step back? Maybe, but he's not getting good blocking. Is it because their connection between AJ Brown and Hurts has just gone off? They've gone from being like best buds to suddenly not liking each other, it seems, because that connection is just gone. There's a load of things you can point to, and maybe it's just natural regression to the mean where because they were so explosive the past couple of years, they've got to fall back down and have a bad year, kind of like we have in a way. It just all these things adding up, and then obviously the change of play call to someone who is seemingly just not a fit with their personnel. The way that they're using, especially AJ Brown again, the way they're using him is kind of like the same situation we're having with Morton and JMO here, where for whatever reason they're just not using concepts that fit their best players. Like Goddard's a good tight end, don't get me wrong, he's top 7, top 10 in the league definitely, but he should not be the focal point of your offense. It should be Saquon, it should be AJ Brown, and it should be Devonta Smith. Yet they seemingly chose for it to be Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, and fans aren't happy, the players aren't happy, but they're, unlike Dan, their head coach isn't going to make the move. He's the kind of guy that waits to the end of the season, then changes things rather than trying to do it in season. The only real change they made last in season was hiring Matt Patricia. Shows the kind of in-season management they have, at least from the head coaching position. But they've got good pieces, and it could always be that we've played them this week. They suddenly have the sort of this game circled us. Oh yeah, this is one. It's going to be hard. We need to actually bring our A game, and they do, and they absolutely blow us away. I hate to say it, but that would not surprise me. But at the same time, they could also just lay the same kind of offensive performances they've been putting out this season, not exactly play well. And even with some of the situations we have potentially missing now, our top 5 corners in a way, might still be able to at least hang on to them, because you stop Barkley, you make them one-dimensional, and this offense does fall apart, the wheels come off. So there's ways we can beat them for sure.
And this offensive line has taken a major step back, but they've still got it. It's just gone somewhere.
Well, I mean, you've got to look, there've been injuries on there. Obviously, Cam Jurgens has missed part of the season. You've had injuries at left guard. Tyler Steen, this is his first year as a starter at right guard. So, there's no Mekhi Becton in there this year. So it's kind of like us. You've had an interior that's kind of been mixed and matched around a little bit. It's had to deal with some knocks, dealing with new starters in there. And, with that comes trouble, and that seems to be what you've had with them so far. Obviously getting Cam back would help them a lot, so everyone can go back to where they normally are. You've got all your starters back in, but I think you're just sort of seeing a bit of that, just a little bit of interior trouble. Obviously the 2 tackles are still tremendous and doing their great work. Ours are the same, but yeah, it's at the end of the day it's still gonna be good. Their pass protection is still pretty decent. You've got a mobile quarterback, which again we've struggled with in the past, and you've still got a lot of weapons, and you've got one of the best offensive line coaches in the league there. Like he is going to find a way to make this work, and there are teams, especially when we've lost, who have found ways to make it work against our defense, which has usually been pretty decent for the most part. But if there's one team we'll figure it out, it's these guys. So you've just got to be you've just got to be very careful against them still. They're incredibly clutch. Again, this team knows how to do it in the big moment situations. They've got big moment guys. So, yeah, I wouldn't let it disturb you. You've still got to play bloody good against this team. And, despite all those struggles and that you've just listed, they've still only lost 2 games. So nobody's really found a way to properly exploit these weaknesses as of yet. The Denver got lucky with one big fourth quarter comeback, and then there's just a complete anomaly against the Giants. Everyone has it. The Dolphins twatted the Bills the other day. Like, these games happen in the NFL, but nobody's really found a way to punish them for these mistakes on that line yet. So, it's still up to us to go out and find a way to do that.
Turning our attention to the defense, here are the statistical leaders for them. Defensive tackle Jordan Davis, 3 passes defended, 3 sacks, 33 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 72. Jalix Hunt, outside linebacker. I know he's only a backup now after the return of Nolan Smith. I don't know why I blanked on that name, but there we go. But Jalix Hunt still kind of leads his team statistically. An interception for a touchdown, a pass defended, a forced fumble, 2 sacks, 24 tackles, 5 TFLs, 9 quarterback hits, PFF grade of 58. He might be a backup again now, but the statistical leader in the linebacker position is Jihad Campbell. 1 interception, 2 passes defended, a forced fumble, 50 tackles, a TFL, quarterback hit, and a PFF grade of 81. Cornerback Quinyon Mitchell, who I think university was loved in the draft process, especially by us. 10 passes defended and a fumble recovery, 31 tackles and a PFF grade of 69. And then Cooper DeJean in the nickel, who I think I went a bit out on a limb on in the draft process and said he was my favourite outside cornerback. I think that's come good. 6 passes defended, 57 tackles, 4 TFLs and a PFF grade of 75. Other good grades in there. Other backup outside linebacker, Josh Uche, 84. Zach Bourne, who obviously got paid this offseason after his bargain basement deal the year before, is at 79. And Moro Ajomo, defensive tackle, was 78. Nolan Smith had a good return from injury, but there's not a sample size there to say how he's doing, really. Other poor grades in there, starting outside corner Adore Jackson at 50. And safety Reed Blankenship down at 46, which, having watched him last week, I don't believe. But they are what the PFF grades say they are. Third down, this team is 26th. Fourth down, 5th. And in the red zone, they are 4th. So again, the team on both sides of the ball at third down is bad, but in the red zone, very, very good. Some defensive stats for you. Otherwise, whole of team, they play 24% man and 70% zone. I haven't quite worked out what they do 6% of the time.
So it's usually either mixed concepts or it's what's called match zone, where it doesn't fall under either because it's both.
Thank you. 5% explosive play rate allowed is 10th in the NFL. A 40% pressure rate is 8th. A no blitz pressure rate of 37% is joint 7th. Rush stuff rate is only 31st. Well, that's probably because they have a 75% light box rate, which is 6th in the NFL. Completion percentage allowed is 59%. That is 3rd best. Passing touchdowns allowed is only 8. That's joint 1st. A 45% success rate allowed is 14th. They're playing one high 57% of the time, which is 9th, which I think would actually not align with most people's expectations of what this defense is, which is primarily thought of as a too high or quarters team. They play too high 39% of the time. That's 25th in the NFL, so actually not as much as you would think. And then 28% of the time they blitz at 20th in the NFL. And I've already said the light box thing. So, boys, to turn it back over to you, the defense on an individual basis is doing some really big things. They're actually getting some really good play out of their backup outside linebacker edge players. Up front, they're doing some really good things. Maybe some slight weaknesses in the secondary. I don't believe the PFF grade, so I'll say that, and please take that with a pinch of salt. But terrific in the red zone. I mean, they're less than 50% in terms of allowing touchdowns in the red zone. That's elite. Some of those stats, though, point towards potentially a good day for the Lions, I would argue. I mean, having a run stuff rate of 14% and being second worst in the NFL at stuffing the run, and having a light box rate feels like that plays very well into the Lions' hands. So, Ant, I'll come to you first. This team on defense is a big bunch of names, especially young names. It's a very, very young defense. You know, Ajomo, Davis, Carter, Smith, Nakobe Dean. Jalen Phillips hasn't yet got his new deal. Quinion Mitchell, Andrew Makuba, Reed has only just got his new... No, he's in the last year of his deal, I think, potentially.
He's not signed.
Cooper DeJean's obviously very young. There's actually very, very few veterans on this team, and yet they're all fucking good for all that's said and done. And yet there are a few indicators which point to the way they're playing, maybe playing into our hands just a little bit.
I mean, I don't know. The one thing they are is they're clutch as anything. For a young group, I mean, this is an incredibly good defense when it matters. So you've got 7 wins for the Eagles this year, right? 6 of them are by less than a score or 1 score. Against Cowboys, it's 4. Against the Chiefs, 3. Rams, 7. Bucks, 6. Vikings, 6. Packers, 3. Do you want to know what the defense did in those games? Cowboys shut them out in the second half. Chiefs, they gave up just 1 touchdown. Rams gave up just 1 touchdown. Against the Bucks, just 5 points in the fourth quarter. Against the Vikings, just 6 points in the fourth quarter. Against the Packers, just 7 points in the second half. These narrow games that they're winning is directly correlated to their defense just shutting teams down when it matters. Whatever, this is probably very good coaching as well. Maybe the Eagles are, again, because the Eagles have got a young team, a lot of young defenders there. They're trying to feel opponents out in the first half, see what works against them. They're going in at the half. They're strategizing. They're coming out and they're putting a plan into action in the second half because nobody's getting a jump on them whatsoever. Like, those 6 games alone just shows you their defense pretty much won it for them. And that's going to be the problem you've got. Yeah, you might get some licks in against them early. Yes, there may be some things they do that work in our favor. But what these wins are all showing as well is something they do. They will figure you out and they will adapt to you and they will stop you doing what you want to do. And they've got the talent to be able to do that. So, you know, it's very much going to be up to Dan into this. This is a moving chessboard. You've got to keep throwing something different. You can't just try and settle into a rhythm because they will adjust and adapt and they'll find a way to win. But, you know, it's quite impressive with these guys. There's so many young players on this team. The fact that they're able to put them in a position to succeed in these clutch games when it matters. You know, that's one of the biggest correlations of this team for me is how good this defense is. Because that could be a 4-loss team. That could be a 5-loss team. Generally, when you're running so many close games, I mean, one of the losses that to the Broncos was only by 4 points, but in all these 1-score games, they've won pretty much them all. And it is some luck, but a lot of it is skill as well. In these tight contested matches, they're the ones who always come out on top. They always find the way to go. So, yeah, they do some stuff that we like, but at the end of the day, it's their coaching's damn good. So I'm never going to take that for granted. You've got to unload every single thing you have on these guys. You've got to put them under pressure. You've got to put them on the back foot, you know, like we did against Washington. Don't give them chance to breathe and adapt to what you're doing and keep meshing it up there. Because I say, if you get stuck in a tight game against these guys, they are proven to be able to win it with these guys. So yeah, it's going to be a tough assignment regardless of how young they are. They all want to make plays. They all want to show off, like, you know, the vets have gone. This is the next generation. They want to go back there. They're hungry. And they are just as physical and tough and gritty as we are. They're one of the few teams we play on this schedule who can hit you back harder than what you hit them. So it's still a very tough assignment regardless. We got the weapons to do it, but it's by no means a gimme.
How are you feeling, Ash?
It's going to be a tough one. Looking at all my stats I have, it's very much strength on strength in terms of stuff. Looking at them, so we're good at running 11 personnel. We've got a 7.5 EPA allowed. They're also top half of the league against that. We're good with motion. They're good at defending motion. We're good against too high defenses. They're also good at that where we're mid. So against 1 high, which they obviously play a lot, as we said, we're 17th, but they're 20th. pretty much every single place that we usually have an advantage, they're also good. So short EPA, which we're still first in the league against. So every time we throw the ball, we're averaging a third of a point. They're the second best defense in the league right now against short passes. Intermediate game, which again, we all know that we use a lot. Fourth best EPA in that situation. They're 10th. There's a load of just where we like to do stuff. They're good. There's a few little places where we've got the advantage, and they're luckily places that we seemingly picked up on last week under Dan. So play action, which we use a lot more now. Obviously, all the stats are out there. Before last week, we only ran play action at a quarter of the time. That went up to nearly 50% of the time. Third best offense in that EPA per play for that. They're the 29th. So it's using some of their youth against them, as Ant's quite correctly pointed out. Quite a lot of their starters are on the rookie contract. They're not exactly great there. So we can exploit that. Their linebackers, because they like to be aggressive, they bite on play action. It means that, unfortunately, Sam Laporta, if he's able to go, will have a great day. But with the back injury, no practices back-to-back days, that's looking unlikely. So yeah, it'll be Brock Wright on that, downgrading that situation to me. But that advantage that we do have, one of the few we do, is minimized. Using outside runs, because you want to make their linebackers get out of position, which we do a lot of the time. The sixth highest offense in outside run percentage used, but we're 22nd in EPA. All these things, they use light boxes because they're so good at using them. 7th best defense in EPA against that, with 6th offense facing them. All these places that we can use that. Opened up, they're good there. So we'll have to find new advantages, maybe turn some of our tendencies against ourselves. So I know we've gone away from using 12 personnel last week. It was something that we used a lot under Morton, not so much last week against the Commanders under Dan. Hopefully, if we've got Laporta, we can, because that's one of the few where maybe we do have a real advantage aside from play action. We're the 6th best offense at using 12. They're the 25th defense against 12 personnel. So it's one of these where we're going to have to break our own tendencies to beat this defense potentially, which plays into Fangio's hands because, he does what we kind of do on the first couple of drives under Shep, where, right, let's see what you do, let's see your tendencies, and we adapt. So does Fangio, and Fangio was not great as a head coach, but as a damn defensive coordinator, there's not many better in the league, unfortunately.
Turning to their game against Green Bay last week, they won 10-7 after a 0-0 first half, as mentioned, Ash, earlier. A weird game. I watched it back earlier today, and just going through some of their offensive stuff, Barkley got a couple of runs that got significant yardage, a 13-yarder quite early on in the game. And yet, he went for only 60 yards on the day, despite a long of 15. So, had some chunks, but otherwise was getting stopped for losses or short yardage for the majority of the game. They did drive into the red zone early, but on a quarterback draw on 3rd and 8, they had a fumble at the Green Bay 14. He had a really weird series, Hurts, where he threw, for me, 3 really, really risky throws, basically in a row, one across his own body, inside his own red zone, into the middle of the field, which could have been picked off. One over the middle to Goddard, which was broken up by Keyshawn Nixon. And then a risky one in the flat to Dotson, which went incomplete. I think all 3, with better defenses, could have been picked. It was a really odd set of circumstances where Hurts' decision-making just completely left him for a series. They got really lucky on a DPI call when he threw a ball in the flat to Dallas Goedert straight over his head. But because there was contact, they threw a flag for DPI, even though the ball was thoroughly uncatchable. Otherwise, there were some good plays in there by Hurts. He scrambled very well. He threw very well on the run. And Green Bay were pressuring him significantly. There were a few really nice plays by Green Bay to kind of stop them in their tracks. Specifically, Quay Walker hit the hole on a kind of blitz to hit him for a TFL and a run blitz. There was also Devontae White exploding through the offensive line for a TFL. The offensive line just wasn't good in this game. Barkley did, in a passing move, have an incredible spin move on a 3rd down in the flat to get a first after he was basically just not covered. They That was 3rd and long. They converted that. The very next play was a Devonta Smith touchdown. Otherwise, there was a really nice safety run blitz, which exploits a massive hole in the Philadelphia offensive line. In a jumbo set, they had a huge fuck up on that play. So this offense can definitely be got at. Green Bay were very physical. They played a lot of zone. There was a stat which came out recently which said if you want to limit AJ Brown, play huge amounts of zone. Of course, I had to point out the 2 games they actually lost, they faced man almost the most out of all the games they've played. So minimizing AJ Brown might not be the answer, even though he is an absolute world beater when he wants to be. On defense, obviously they're very aggressive coming downhill. Green Bay actually had plenty of good plays in here. Unfortunately, none of them seemed to be in the same drive. They just couldn't get anything. They had one explosive play, get 20 yards, and then be punting from midfield. It just felt like that sort of game for Green Bay. Nakobe Dean looked fantastic. Generally just speaking, they looked very, very sticky in coverage. In a 1-minute drill, they forced a fumble on Love when they were in field goal range. They forced a really good PBU on 4th down and 9 when it didn't look like they should run a play. They should have just punted it. And ran a play, threw it to Melton. Lovely throw by Love. And Cooper DeJean just sticks his foot in the ground and goes for it and forces a turnover on downs, which was really, really good. There was a late DPI on Jihad Campbell on a deep pass to Luke Musgrave. Got there way too early. It was a legitimate call. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens at tight end, because it could be that, Brock Wright ends up going up against Jihad Campbell in coverage sometimes, and maybe you kind of have to try and take that. I don't know. Green Bay's first trip into the red zone came with 6.5 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. What the hell? It was such a weird game. And then, of course, with everything on the line with, 90 seconds to go, Josh Jacobs on 4th down. I mean, he's already going to get stopped short, but then Reed Blankenship forces a fumble to basically finish the game. And otherwise, on special teams, I mentioned Braden Mann. I thought was one of the worst punters in the NFL. He had 2 really poor punts. One was a complete shank. And then one was a good punt, but there was a holding penalty which Green Bay elected to take on a repunt. And that one came up really, really short as well. So not great by Mann. I'm confident that we can actually do bits against the punt game this week compared to last week where I was confident we wouldn't get anything and we didn't. So fingers crossed we get something on teams. Boys, it's not exactly the world-beating Monday Night Football, which you would hope for and expect with these 2 premier teams. People still think the Packers are good somehow. And Philly, we've just mentioned, are underperforming despite being this juggernaut. So maybe it being a bit of a shit game wasn't a surprise. But both defense came to play. If you like defensive football, it was a good game. I don't think Philly dominated the game, even though they were, significantly up in this. I don't know, it was a weird one. I'm just going to throw it over to you without any question to you guys. What did you think of the game? What did you think of Philly in it?
It was Reed Blankenship who forced that incomplete pass on 4th and 9, by the way, not Cooper DeJean. So you give my boy his due credit.
I'm sorry. They said Blankenship. They said Cooper DeJean in the commentary. So I just
fumble, turnover on down, 7 tackles. You give my boy his credit. You've not been giving Cooper DeJean that sort of stuff. Thank you. No, it wasn't. It was for the purists. But like you said, it was absolutely fantastic defensive football on both sides of the ball. And, the fact that Philly scored only 10, we're all talking about Grant Halfley has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL right now, because he is maybe one of the top 3 guys already, despite the fact he's only been here a year. What he's done with that Green Bay defense is nothing short of phenomenal. And obviously getting Mick Parsons helps, but even before the trade, they still look good under him. So, it's one of the toughest defenses you're going to face, and they figured Philly out, and they found a way to stop them, which was good on Green Bay's part. Sometimes you just find someone who gets your number. Now, obviously, it's up to Kelvin to do the same with the guys at our disposal. There's a lot of good tape you can get from that game to figure your own game plan out against them, but again, we talk about the Philly defense. It's a tough game against a good opponent. It won, they were one of the top seeds in the NFC going into that one. They've fought out a load of wins, and you have absolutely stifled them. All your players have come to play. A lot of pressure on the quarterback, forcing him into mistakes, not letting them have much of a run game. And again, when it matters, making big plays. That at the end of the day is if you can make the big plays when it matters, you can wipe out a ton of other stuff that's done around that. If you just like those 5, 6 plays that win your games that Dan loves to talk about, Philly always win them. And that's where the difference is between them and other sides. They win those 5 or 6 critical downs. That's what this defense does. But you've seen how it's coming together now, how these young guys, they're full of confidence, they're full of beans. Like after that Giants defeat and they were getting torched all over the place, you thought, oh, there's a little bit of, little bit in the house here. They're not too happy. But as time's gone on, they've brought a little bit of veteran help in. They've settled now, which is just going to be a nightmare for the rest of us. But I thought they were great. It's a battling performance from a team that knows how to win a Super Bowl. They didn't play the best football on the offensive side of the ball. The defense bailed them out. And then likewise, some weeks, if the defense ain't played too well, that offense can bail them out. They can play very good complementary football. And when it mattered, they did in this game. So yeah, I love it from a defensive standpoint. The two defenses chock full of players I absolutely love. So it was great to see them all ball out. I'm just grateful the Packers lost as well, but there's a lot that will give me concern that I've seen from them in this game.
Ash?
Yeah. But it's just funny to me that obviously I know we rip into them a bit because obviously in our division, but people are finally coming to rounds that maybe the Packers aren't the Super Bowl favorites that everyone thought they would be. Like the defense is great. There's a reason why even as early as now, Hafley is one of the top names for the Giants defense. The Giants head coaching gig because of the pieces they have on defense with their free edge rushers, Dexter Lawrence, some young secondary pieces he can use. Though, obviously, as I said in Discord, Jesse Mint is my pick for that because what he could do with the blitzing scheme would be great. It was a weird game. I did watch the highlights when I was at work after I finished up work on the Tuesday, and it was a defensive slog. It was like the Broncos-Texans game a couple of weeks ago, except for that actually had better offense, despite arguably coming into those games with worse offensive pieces. But it's a weird one. But there's stuff we can take away from it. The ways that the Packers did have some good plays, just wasn't all in the same drive as you said. There's things we can take away. This defense, while it only get 10 points, it's still not infallible. You look at some of the scores they gave up the weeks before, like they're still, I think they averaged 21.7 points per game given up going into this week now after only giving up 10 to Green Bay. There are ways to beat them. And if their offense does play like this where they only score 10 points, I mean, we held Baker to 9. We've held other offenses to like around that. We can do it. We can definitely limit them. They might put up 20, but the way our offense is compared to how the Green Bay one looks right now, we should also be able to put points up. It's just, can we swing the balance of favor in those 4 or 5 key plays? Can we make them ours instead of theirs? I know they're probably going to get a tush push or 2 conversion on 4th down. We can match that though. Green Bay can't. Many other teams can't match them in terms of this instant 4th and short, right? We know we convert this. We're the only other team that can challenge them there. And that might put the fear of God into them because that's been their key MasterCard over everyone is, it's a 4th and short, right? We know we can get this, try and stop us. You can't. We can. We can be in those situations, it's 4th and short, and they'll be like, shit, we know they're going to go for it. And they're just as good at us at converting them. That maybe be sort of the thing that swings it our way. And then, with special teams as well. I know, obviously, Caledon, this is nursing his thumb injury. He's also the worst long snapper in the league by PFF grade this season. The issues that we've had on some field goals, I know Elliott's perfect and extra points, but he's missed 2 long field goals so far this season. And he's been really bad at kickoffs. Special teams, well, yes, I've maligned it, especially since the kick coverage, but we've been good on 90% of our kick coverages. We've been good kicking, except for past couple of weeks where maybe it's because some bad snaps and a slight adjustment by Bates, who is going for a bit more of a low trajectory kick. We've been good there. Punting wise, Jack Fox is still Jack Fox, even though last week all he got to do was hold some balls like Bonnie Blue. Special teams this week could be that thing that I keep saying, where it could be the thing that swings it our way. And I hope it is, because it's a homecoming for Fip, and I know his family won't be there because he doesn't want them to get batteries thrown at them, but he kind of needs it. And if anyone has a revenge game, it's him. Maybe Avante Maddox, if we need to play him in the slot for a key down. Maybe finally doubles Hurts' interception total this season.
All right. Let's turn our attention to the matchup then, and we've kind of alluded to it in bits and pieces all the way through this, but when it comes to how the Lions should approach this game, and you've kind of talked about the fact that, you know, they're going to flex themselves to try and beat us no matter what we do in some ways. How would you then approach this game on either side of the ball for the Lions if you wanted to maximise your chances in this game?
I mean, defensively, you've got to be very disciplined. Again, Hurts hasn't run that much this year for a dual threat. I mean, I think a lot of teams have tried to put a lot of emphasis on keeping him corralled, which has maybe taken away from other points of their game. But you've got to be very disciplined and not let him escape the pocket, for one. But you've got to try and do it with a 3 or 4 man rush and not put too much in there, because the one thing he's not done this year is turn the ball over. He's thrown, one interception all year. If you're the defense, and again, this comes back to the whole, why are they winning so many close games? 6 of the 7 wins by a score. They're not turning the ball over. If you're a team that turns the ball over and you're in so many one-score games, you start losing them. The defense needs to get takeaways from this team, because they can play you tough and they can play you close. You've got to be on point. Got to try and create some opportunities, because just no one's found a way to get the ball off them this year so far. And it's going to be the best way for us to be able to win this game, maximizing our possessions and keeping them off the field. Offensively, as I've said, you've got to stay fluid. You've got to keep adapting yourself. You've got to use, again, like we did against Washington, use all your weapons, specifically get JMO involved early again. If you get JMO involved early and you start spreading that defense a bit, you start putting a lot of pressure on them, it helps the run, helps you throw a lot of different things at these guys. And like I said, because of the adaptation in the second half from this team, you can't get in a rhythm and just stick with it. Keep throwing them somewhere different, keep them chasing their tails, and then, offensively, you've just got to be very creative this week, I feel, is the way. It's not as easy as just saying, oh, well, let's establish the run game and dominate them that way. It ain't going to be that easy. They will find a way to stop it if that's your only goal here. So using JMO is the best way to open everything else up for everybody else. And then that's going to be the way we win it. So, yeah, offensively, you go through JMO again to open up your arsenal of weapons. And defensively, you've got to find a way to get turnovers from them. And that will come from not putting too much pressure on Hurts and leaving your DBs one-on-one with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and guys like this. Just throwing them some looks that he's not used to. But the front 4 are going to be incredibly critical in this, because it's still a good offensive line. They've got to find a way to get to him. Green Bay didn't touch Hurts once. That says a lot in this game. They despite the fact they kept him to 10 points, they still didn't touch the quarterback. You can't force fumbles, you can't force mistakes if you're not touching the quarterback. So, yeah, Kelvin's got to bring it. Both coordinators have got to bring it big time this week.
Ash, what about you? What do you think?
Can we just convert DVOA into actual play? Just play it on paper, but just have the DVOA rankings, because then we win big. But I am 100% stealing this off Jeremy, because he tweeted it earlier. But our passing offense, 6th in DVOA versus their 11th rated pass defense, 6th rated run offense versus 21st run defense for the Eagles. Their passing offense is 7th. Our pass defense somehow is 3rd. That's insane to me, considering some of the issues we've had on the back end. And then their run offense is 22nd. Our run defense is 7th. If it was just played on paper with DVOA, we'd win this game big. But obviously, this is real life. It's not played on paper. God damn it, do I know that? The amount of times I've been wrong with my previews. It's going to be a close game. But the one thing that swings it in my mind is we've both got good defenses. Theirs might be more talented, but ours is playing pretty damn well. If we can continue what happened last week, if we can show that Dante can overplay calling and what happened last week against, a pretty shit Commanders' defense compared to the Philadelphia Eagles' defense. But if we can do what we did to the Commanders to them to an extent, I know we won't get 44 points this week. Let's just go and do that now. But we should be able to at least keep pace with their offense. And then, yeah, it is the sort of key 5 or 6 plays, be it special teams, be it these conversions, be it getting a turnover at the right time to stop a drive. We can win this game. It'll be tough. It'll be hard. But if we can pull out this, not only does it show that their offense is for real under Dan, but it also shows that, yeah, we should be up there now. And a load of places still have us not high in their power rankings. We're still top 5, but we're probably 5th or 4th. We go right back up to 1 because this is the season where winning gritty, like the Eagles have, but like we have most of the time, this is the season to do it because, yeah, the Bills losing to the Dolphins shows it. Some of the losses that other teams have had against bad teams. Every team that's good this year is having these kind of bad losses. Just the ones that win close can win dirty, that will eventually get to the promised land, and it's our chance to show that we can do that.
I agree with Ant in terms of the JMO thing being the key. I really think that is something which is going to be huge. But beyond that, I really think that we can dominate them on the ground on our offense. I think our offensive line can handle their defensive line. I saw enough from the Packers in terms of how they were able to run the ball that I genuinely think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have a big day, and I think it's because we're going to beat him up. Straight up, one-on-one. I think we can do it. And that's the simplest route to victory, right? Is you control the clock, you win your one-on-ones, and you don't have to do anything funky. Part of me thinks that is absolutely possible. So that's not anything, definitive in terms of things that we should change to try and make this happen. I just think that we can do it. I want to see plenty of play action. I know that they're quite quick on the outside and they're pretty good at defending it, but I don't care. That's how Goff is best. So let's get into that play action game if we can. And if we have to pass to JMO to open up the run, to open up play action, fine. I don't care. Make it work. Dan Campbell play calling would be quite nice. Defensively, I think their offensive line is struggling. I think what we do actually quite naturally is going to work quite well. Stick to your tendencies. Blitz rate is probably going to be relatively high for us. I think that's fine. In terms of coverage, I'm not scared of any of them. AJ Brown's probably a top 10 wide receiver on his day, but that clearly hasn't been the case this year. I still think he's very good, but there's a disconnect there. Smith has kind of broken out for me a little bit. And obviously he's had a great career to date. But again, it doesn't scare me. Even with Arnold out, even with Reed probably not back this week, I still think we can do what we need to do here. The key to the game is our linebackers. They've all been playing fantastically for the majority of the year. So, I think we should win this game. I know we're underdogs, and I know the betting markets kind of know what they're doing, and they get it right most of the time, otherwise they wouldn't be in this business, and we're underdogs for a reason. But we play better on the road. Anyway, they're going to lap up that atmosphere. I expect us to win this game. Don't know about you guys, but let's have a score prediction.
(24-20).
I presume to the Lions.
Yes, the Lions, yeah.
Thanks for qualifying that, because it's hard to tell.
It's going to be close. I don't think there's either team's going to win this fancily. I'd be even closer. I'd say it's going to be something like 21-20. And it's going to be who's got the ball last to run the game out. Who can take that final 3 or 4 minutes off the clock to kill the game. But I think we can do it. I think we have to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't want to see anyone hiding behind injury excuses. Oh, we're away at Philly, etc. The Philadelphia Eagles have absolutely nothing to prove. They've just won a Super Bowl. They've been there and done that. We're the pretenders trying to say we're the next big thing going, and we've got to show that we can win in big game environments. this is a Philly team which, we've panned on this episode. They're probably working at 65% of maybe what they can be as a team. If you can't beat Philly at 65% earlier in the season, how the hell are you going to beat them when they're playing at 85, 90, 95 when they're in the NFC Championship game or they're in the playoffs? You're simply not. Especially with that young defense and how it's developing, and if they figure out their offense by then, you're catching them at the weakest you're going to catch them. I don't care it's their home. I don't care where it's at. The Lions simply have to win. You don't win this, that's going to reinforce for me the idea that they're just not capable of taking this next step at the moment, and the worries will go up. So, yeah, they've got to win it by hook or by crook. You have got to come out of this with a win. Fight, scrap, tooth, claw, whatever. But just get it to show that you can, because it will take a monkey off your back. So, yeah, this is the one last one of the season I really want to win. And we've got to. We need to prove we can do it.
I have this 24-10 to the Lions. I'll just leave that there. No further comment needed. All right, we're going to move on the live show to the rest of the weekend's upcoming games. If you're on the audio pod, we're going to be ending here. So if you want to listen to that, do join us on YouTube and Twitch for the final part of the show. Boys, anything you want to add before we head off here on the audio show? It's okay to say no. All right. We are going to end this here on the audio pod. Thank you so much for listening. Our next show will be the live play-by-play on Sunday night. We'll see you at 8:10 Eastern time for that. If you want to join us on YouTube and Twitch, that would be great. It's going to be me and Ant on the call. Otherwise, our game review will be on Monday afternoon. College Football Podcast aired yesterday. Ant, what did he talk about?
A lot of lawsuits going on in college football. Ryan started his list of draft prospects for future drafts who have come to his attention, and we talked about week 11, which had a lot of good stuff going on. So yeah, plenty of stuff in there to digest.
And you can find us on our socials in the usual places. You know where we are by now. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you for the game. Let's go Lions on Pride.
On Pride.
Recording stopped.
All right. Rest of the slate coming up here, starting with tonight's game, Thursday Night Football. Jets at Patriots, and the Jets are underdogs by 13 points in this game. Is anyone going to be brave enough to pick the Jets? I doubt it.
Nope. They've just put Garrett Wilson IR while we've been recording, and the Patriots are wearing their rivalries uniforms, their Eastern, whatever you want to call them, uniforms. And I get to boast about this. Drake May is a legitimate MVP candidate in his second year. He is going, like, as much as I want the Jets to, turn things around. Not this week. Drake May is going to burn them. They've finally worked out what they have in Travion Henderson, so their run game is going to pick up as well. And that defense, while it's not exactly amazing, does enough. More than enough to beat this Jets team, because they're not getting the kick return touchdowns this week, I don't think.
As part of my ongoing Bills hate watch, I need the Patriots to win so that the Bills can't win the division. So, yes, please, Patriots, absolutely smash the Jets for me. Just vicariously hurting the Bills.
Next up is the Commanders at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are favoured by 2.5 at home against the Washington team without what?
It's not at home. Madrid, baby!
Oh, yeah, thank you. Apologies. It is a home game for Miami played in Spain. Is that better?
Yes.
We should make you wear a sombrero or something for that, even though I know that's Mexican, but still it's, You have to dress. You have to dress up in Spanish attire now for making that mistake.
Oh dear. Dolphins are 2.5 favourites, 2.5 point favourites. No McLaurin, no Daniels. This is the Commanders team we just faced and battered. I'm taking Miami.
Okay. They finally got some things worked out last week.
Yeah, the Commanders are whiny little bitches, and I hate them now. So I hope the Dolphins land an absolute hammer blow on them. The question I want to know is Grandizer going to go along to Spain and do some flamenco dancing? And will we get to see pictures of it, Grandizer? I expect that. You know, if you do that, we'll do some Northern Soul for you.
Bueno. All right. Next up, Panthers at Falcons. And after the Panthers laid an egg last week, the Falcons, despite laying an egg of their own, are 3.5-point favourites. Is this one at home, Ash? For the Falcons? I'll just check in.
Yes. Yes.
Is it? Thank you. Falcons are 3.5-point favourites, and through gritted teeth, because I actually want to, do very well in my pick watch, I am taking the Falcons, but I hate it because there is nothing about Michael Penix which inspires anything. However, Drake London does, so I'm taking the Falcons, but I don't like it.
Same. I prefer the Panthers, but yeah, I also want to do well in pick watch, especially since I'm currently second and I'm only one game behind the lead in that. So I kind of really want to win that because then I keep my streak of being the only person to be top 3 in every year we've done it.
Falcons are going to be sporting a massive German hangover. Panthers, baby.
Next up is Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are favoured by 5.5, despite being battered by the Miami Dolphins. I am taking the Bills, but I do think that Tampa Bay do cover 5.5. That seems to me to be way too much for, Tampa Bay is still a good team on both sides of the ball. I'd argue that they are a more well-rounded team than this Buffalo Bills side.
Yep, Bucky Irving should be at least back in some form or fashion for him. No, he was back at practice yesterday. So as much as I'd like Rashad White, because I play some of my fantasy teams, their run game will pick up, which will help Baker since he won't have to do as much. And yeah, I'm the same. I was going to say the exact same. Bills win, but honestly, I see it by like a field goal or so.
Part of my ongoing hate watch against the Buffalo Bills, I vote for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win.
I'm only one win behind you, Ash, by the way, so...
I know.
I gotta say, we've been doing very well this year. You are 96 and 51, which means that you've missed a game, I think. I'm 95 and 53.
I missed Thursday Night Football last week because I was going to do it as of before it, because I wanted to see the inactives, and I fell asleep like a dum-dum.
Whoops. Dan McGuinness in the lead at 97 and 51, only a game ahead of you. So, yeah. Where were we? Because I digressed having a look at all of that.
We're about to go to Cam Ward versus Davis Mills.
Oh, no, we weren't. You're wrong, because I'm going off a different list. We're about to go to... What? We're going for the Chargers at the Jaguars. This is in Jacksonville, and it is a 3-point favourite for the Chargers. Despite the fact they have no tackles and Jacksonville are absolutely desperate. I'm on the fence here, boys. I could be swayed either way. What do you think?
Chargers.
As part of my ongoing hate watch against the Buffalo Bills, I picked the Chargers because the Chargers are 5th in the AFC playoff standings. The Bills are 6th.
So, in spite of that great analysis, it's just for me, it's looking at the defenses. I think Herbert will do better against the Jacksonville defense than T-Law will do against the Chargers defense.
Yeah, I do think it's hard to have any faith in Trevor Lawrence right now. I would not be surprised if this is his final year as a starter. I know they've paid him, and I know it's going to be hard for them to move on, but at this point, how can his position be tenable? I think Jackson, we're going to have to take a long, hard look at themselves in this offseason and say, can we really stomach another year of this? because he's not showing improvement. And I realised there was a stat which came out recently which said something like he's lost 32 points on drops, but they've lost the 4 games they've lost by 25 points combined or something. So the implication, of course, there is, well, if they caught all the balls that they've dropped, they would have won all their games. But they are overlooking the fact that not all of those drops came in the games that they lost. And the fact that he's played badly in spite of the drops. So...
if only there was a franchise out there who's famous for throwing around first-round picks for Clemson quarterbacks who get drafted by AFC South teams that enter the first round and then kind of flame out after a good start to their career. If only one of them existed and could trade for that massive contract.
Next up is the NFC North matchup of Bears at Vikings. The Vikings are favoured by 3.5 at home against the world's best quarterback, Caleb Williams. Number 9, who's going to turn up in this one, I have no idea. I find it hard to believe that the team jointly leading the NFC North is a 3.5 point dog away. I don't know. I'm going with the Bears. I think they're the better team.
So which it pains me. Same. Like, for some reason, Ben Johnson just knows how to beat this Flores defense. As much as Goff gets 85% of the credit for like the past couple of seasons, Ben just knows how to scheme against their defense. And yeah, McCarthy, which one turns up? Because he had some very good, damn good drives against us, but not much else since. So, Dennis Allen will not be a perfect head coach. I feel a bit vindicated when I said that he'd be a good DC for them. He's done pretty well with the pieces there. It'll be close, but yeah, Bears just about pull it out. Maybe John Joe Swift has one of his good remaining games left in the season, and then he finally drops off to oblivion again.
Meteor strike on the stadium because I hate the pair of them equally. Although if one must win, then I would choose the Vikings because fuck the Bears.
I agree. I would like the Vikings to win this game, if only to hurt the team closest to us in the standings, but I just don't believe it. Next up is the other NFC North team. It's the Green Bay Packers after being butchered both sides of the ball. Even though I don't think they badly lost the game, and I've just said that against the Eagles, but hey. Against the New York Giants... I have just flicked over to the money line, so give me a second while I change to the spread. The spread is 7.5 points in favour of the Green Bay Packers away from home. I'm going to throw this to you guys. Ash, what do you think?
It's time to get a dub for Jameis Winston.
Oh, fuck you. I thought you'd seen my fucking thunder. Damn it.
Exactly. I even did the thing. As soon as you said it, I was there. Like, so you can see the smoke. I was like, right, let's get the fingers in position. I know what to do here. Jameis is going to have his fucking one good game a season and it's going to doom the Packers. And I am going to be at work absolutely ecstatic. Don't care about all the junks have to deal with the German market. If the Packers lose, I'm giggling.
And don't tell me you're on the Giants train here as well.
No, Jameis Winston's going to have the second most embarrassing performance by a Florida State quarterback this weekend after whoever they can trot out against Virginia Tech. So there we go.
Ashley, don't even care about them anymore, and you said that.
Yeah, I know. I've tuned out, don't yeah.
Then he can't be that upset.
He will care when we absolutely thump them in 9 days' time. He will care then.
I mean, it's clear he cares now. He's just deeply, deeply hurt.
It's pain. You're not telling me that Micah Parsons is not going to violate Jameis Winston in every orifice he can get a hold of in this game. Like, that entire Packers... I would say 8-9 sacks in this game at minimum.
Didn't know Jameis Winston was part of the Penn State locker room.
Ooh, getting violated. That's a dark joke, that is, man. That's a dark joke, man.
Wow.
That's a dark joke, man. If you know, you know.
Frankly, if James Winston gets violated by Micah Parsons, he'd probably throw a touchdown and tell us he enjoyed it. He's that sort of guy.
Yeah. Thinking back to about 12 years ago.
Yeah. But I just mean to say that he's and this is probably even worse than a happy-go-lucky sort of guy who's going to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions and tell you he can't see. Was that not the thing when he was in Tampa? He went 30 for 30 and said, "I need glasses," and he meant it.
Yeah, he got LASIK. Yeah,
this is so funny. Anyway, next up is we're still on the 1 o'clock slate. 2 games left. Bengals at Pittsburgh Steelers. Bengals are underdogs, 5.5 points here in Pittsburgh. I will turn it over to Ant first because he has his finger on the pulse of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He zigs when everyone else zags, and he's more often than not right with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there were 2 games above 500. You picked him to lose in a game they should win. This is another game they should win, and they're 1 game above 500. So I take it you're taking the Bengals.
As part of my ongoing hate watch against the Buffalo Bills, I'm going for a Steelers win because they're also above them in the AFC playoff seedings.
Oh. Ash.
Yeah, I'm picking Steelers as well, just because Aaron Rodgers will do just well enough against that bad Bengals defense to win them the game. I hate it. I really do.
I am going for Steelers win, Bengals cover. I think the Bengals got a lot to play for with Joe Burrow now practicing. Their season is not yet dead with how bad that division is. If they can eke out a win here, they're alive. So they have all the incentive in the world, but, you know, the Steelers are shithouses. That's who they are now. So if I want the Bengals to win, it will probably be a Steelers win. Final early slate game is the Houston Texans against the Tennessee Titans. Ash has been waiting for that for several games now. 6.5 point favourites are the Houston Texans. I don't think 6.5 points is enough here. I'm taking a Houston Texans win and a comfortable cover. How about you guys?
Same. Texans defense is one of the best in the league. Campbell not get anything done against them. And, well, yeah, Davis Mills is not exactly a great quarterback. The Titans defense is not the same as it was last year. And now arguably their best cornerback is about to go to prison. So that's fun. So Texans.
My upset of the week. The Titans win over the Houston Texans. And my upsets of the week have been pretty good, by the way.
Yes, you've been very, very good at this. I'm shocked. Why?
Yes. Because they've been threatening to be all right for some time now. I'm seeing a little bit of cohesion there, and the Texans are just anemic. They threaten to be good, and then they have a really bad game, and I'm just not seeing it with them. So I'm just sensing vibes around the Titans that they're ready to do something big. And plus, they've got a little bit of a cushion now because everyone else in the tank race has won recently, so they can afford to win one and still keep that top spot. So I think they're going to beat the Texans. I do. Because I think the Texans are going to lose it more than the Titans are going to win it.
I'm pretty sure they'll lose the first overall pick if they win and the other 2 lost team loses.
Yes, they will. They will go from at least first to third because their strength of schedule is harder than the Saints, who's currently below 500 in that, and then the Giants, who are 0.541, the Tennessee are 0.569, so they will go to at least third, maybe even fourth and fifth.
Anyway, never mind. It just, I don't know. I'm not saying Tennessee are tanking, and I don't think they can afford to tank. We've talked about that a lot on this show in previous years about how that's not a good thing to do, but I don't know. You're right, they have become more cohesive since they fired their head coach. There's no doubt about that. And I mean, if there was going to be an upset, I mean, a Davis Mills-led team where Davis Mills doesn't play like God in the fourth quarter may not be the worst thing to pick, but I still just don't see it. You just talked about Jameis Winston being eviscerated by Micah Parsons. Why can't the Houston's double-headed monster do that to Mills? To Cam Ward?
I mean, they could. They could. What is that, a joke about surrendering or something like that? I don't know.
No, I was going for the Eiffel Tower, but whatever.
Oh,
Jesus.
Wow, he's feeling in a saucy mood this evening, old Ash is.
To be fair, you talked about Magic Mike first and it got him going.
What
No
can I
one
say? Shannon
remembers
Tatum
that.
does something.
Hey, give me some time. That was a funny joke. That was so you got to arrive with a zinger, and I
It
did.
were right
So
top.
again, sometimes I cannot explain my vibes. It's the same vibes with the Panthers. Like, I have vibe feelings with I have vibes with the Patriots when they beat the Bills. Like, the
That's
Patriots
good.
were starting to look like a semblance of a good team, and the Bills had been hit and miss to that part of the year, even though I didn't think they'd lost to that point, but they'd not looked great. It's the same with the Texans. Like, they had a big come from behind against Jacksonville. It's like, if it was any other team that was not as incompetent as what Jacksonville is, they probably lost that game quite comfortably. But they're just inconsistent right now. And I think the Titans, they need to win. They don't need the number one overall pick. Quite frankly, there's not a number one overall talent in the draft this year, and they don't need a quarterback. So it doesn't really matter. They don't need that pick. So you need your quarterback to win games, but he's starting to look a bit more settled. Obviously, the run game, they should hopefully, they've got a star running back. They're going to get him going again. They
I
should be
love
able
Ty J.
to
Spears.
just vibes here with it. But it's an inconsistent team, and it's one where I think they're ready to shock them in any given Sunday in the NFL. I can't always explain my reasoning. It's just there.
Many thanks to OK473 on YouTube for subscribing. On to the afternoon slate. San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. San Francisco favored by 3. Not enough for me. San Francisco winning cover. They did lose, but they didn't look bad losing last week.
Even me, the Supreme Cardinals lover from the off-season, 49ers are doing it. Even if Kyler were back, Call of Duty just came out. So we all know what happens to the Cardinals when Call of Duty comes out.
Yeah. I'm surprised this line is so close. I think it's more of an indictment on the 49ers than it is anything else. Like, you've just seen what happened to the Cards last week, and Mac Jones has been playing relatively well, so you would think it would be able to drop some points down on this team. So, yeah, I don't think there's a threat of an upset here. Jacoby Brissett's probably going to get picked off 5 times, and that'll be the end of his time, and they'll bring in someone else to do it. But yeah, the 49ers should win this easily.
Okay, where are we at? Next one. The game of the year so far. Seattle Seahawks at LA Rams. Rams favored by 3.5 points at home. Ant, what do you think?
I think we'll find out who's the fraud in this conference now. These are the two standard bearers. The Seahawks have been very good, and we thought that they might get better. The Rams have been a lot better than I anticipated. To be honest, if you ask me which of these two teams I'd want to play in the playoffs, it would be the Seahawks over the Rams. So kind of from that period alone, I want the Seahawks to win this one. So I think I predicted them to win the conference, so I'm going to push all my chips in on them now. This is where the Seahawks show just how damn good they are, and they will get the job done.
Yeah, this game, other than ours, is it's basically one of these 4 teams, either us, Philadelphia, or Seahawks. Rams are going to be the first seed in our conference. Honestly, can they tie? I know we've already had one tie this season. Can they tie? Probably the best outcome for us in terms of then they only gain half a win. I do pick the Rams though. If they had one team has to win, it is the Rams, because I know the Seahawks just added Rashid Shaheed, who I know is I think it was Equanimity's it was St. Brown, Amon Ra's most underrated receiver in the league on his podcast this week. You'll like who Equanimity's answer was, Matt.
What was it?
But it's
just don't tease me with that. Thank you.
Of course it is. But yeah, Stafford, as much as said, is an MVP candidate. Stafford might finally win the MVP, and that might be the thing that gets him into the Hall of Fame. And he can prove it this week against what has been one of the best defenses in the league. There's not been Denver or Houston. It's going to be a cracker. One of the reasons I'm sad I'm at work, because I'd love to watch it before we watch our game. But alas, instead, I must be shepherded around drunk people.
Oh, and another reason for the Seahawks to win, so every single news media outlet in existence doesn't spend the whole of next week going, Matt Stafford's above .500 for the first time in his career. Fuck the lot of you. I hope he stays below it for his entire career, just so they can't ram that down our throats all the time.
I am taking the best side in the NFL to win this game. I'm taking the Seahawks.
The Browns aren't playing in it.
I'm taking the Seahawks to win this game. They're the best side in the NFL for me right now. And I don't think it's particularly controversial.
Go on ESPN and say that and see how controversial you'd be.
Mate, if I say that on ESPN, I'm getting paid $4 million a year and I'm on Undisputed. Yeah,
even
exactly.
Stephen A. Smith doesn't have a take that hot.
I think Darnold's played fantastic. Mike McDonald has a defense playing brilliantly. The offensive line looks great. Jackson Smith and Jigba's a top 3 wide receiver, and that might be being conservative. They've got a double-headed monster at running back that can rival ours. Don't give me that face. Ken Walker is not as good as Jahmyr Gibbs, but I do think Zach Charbonnet is up there with what David Montgomery is right now. I said to rival ours, I didn't say better. It's in the ballpark.
There's glazing a former draft love very highly. Somebody's glazing a little bit. When he's pumping out regular 1,000-yard seasons like Demo is, then we can have that conversation. Does he have one yet? I mean, he might do, but does he?
No, I don't think he does.
Well, there you go then.
But he's also not been the RB1 in any of his seasons.
I mean, Demo's been in rotation here. He still gets 1,000-yard years.
Yeah. Yeah, Charbonnet in his 2 seasons has only just cracked 1,000 combined for those 2. So 462 yards in his first season, 2023, and then last year 569.
David Montgomery has only had 2 1,000-yard seasons in his career.
1,000 yards from scrimmage.
From scrimmage, okay, fine, but you need to define your terms. I didn't know that you meant 1,000 yards from scrimmage.
I said 1,000-yard seasons. I didn't say 1,000-yard rushing seasons.
So
Mr. Pedantic, you got that wrong.
Okay, so last year he went for 909 all-purpose, being RB2, which I think is...
That's his worst season.
Fine.
Pretty much.
And fine. Charbonnet only went for 8.
No, I said Charbonnet went for 909.
909, yeah.
That's what I was saying. Charbonnet went for 909. Montgomery last year went for 1116. In fact, that's remarkable. In the 4 years preceding this one, he went for 1,100 all-purpose yards, but not more than 1,150. How's that? Yeah, consistent. Very, very consistent. Anyway, let's move on from the Seahawks. They're still the best team in the NFL. We'll move on to the 425 slate, which is Baltimore at the Cleveland Browns, who Ant has already declared to be the best team in the NFL. So, of course, you're going to be taking them and their 7.5 points they've been given.
No, I hope they lose with dignity in this one, because I don't want to lose Brett. If they threaten to win this and then lose it in the most heartbreaking fashion possible, he may die, and I don't want that. So hopefully they just get good old-fashioned blown out like Bonnie Blue and left to die early.
Yeah, it's looking likely Lamar's back in practice after missing yesterday, so he should be back. Zay Flowers is having a good season, considering the issues they've been having. And Henry's looked better the past couple of weeks than he did at the start of the season. And they've worked out again that they should have Carl Hamilton as a box safety nickel hybrid again. And suddenly they've worked out to play defense again. So they'll get a couple of yards. The Browns will get some yards on the ground and maybe a good maybe a passing touchdown or two, because I know Tillman's back, I think, so they've finally got an extra receiver threat again. But yeah, the Ravens are going to continue their just tear they're on now, finally deciding to get healthy, and they're going to be back. They're going to win that division, probably by a game or two, and then get bouncing the division around like always.
Last one on the 425 slate is the Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. 4-point favourites are the Chiefs away against the division leader Denver Broncos. Ash, what do you think?
Broncos win. I honestly think they win because that defense is good, and well, the Chiefs have looked better in recent weeks. They haven't been perfect. Like Mahomes can still convert weird, like 3rd and 14s and that, but they're not fully dead yet. It's kind of like what we were saying with the Eagles, but just in red and white instead of green and white. I don't fully trust them yet. And the Broncos, well, yeah, they've had some bad offensive performances. That defense is still just so good. Like it'll be close probably, but I just see that, and it's in Denver. I just see them winning because like the environmental factor of the Chiefs will probably run out of gas literally because of the high altitude.
And
due to my ongoing hate watch against the Buffalo Bills, I don't really mind here because the Broncos are really far in front of them and the Chiefs need to catch them up. So a win works either way for me. So, but in the consistency of the fact that no one else has won that division other than the Chiefs since like 2017, please let the Broncos win it because it's just boring at this point.
I'm taking the Chiefs, and I don't feel bad about it. The Broncos are massively fraudulent on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think that last year's Broncos are the real thing. I think this year's Broncos are the real thing. They're struggling to score. I don't think that changes here. So I don't think this is going to be a particularly pretty game. I don't think this is going to break 30 points. But I do think the Chiefs are going to win.
Wow, I'm telling Brie on you.
She can come at me if she wants.
She will. She will eviscerate that placid argument you've just put up there, and you know it, so...
It's fine. I would enjoy the conversation, even if I lost. Finally to Monday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys at the Las Vegas Raiders. This one is an embarrassingly short, only 3.5 point favor for the Dallas Cowboys. The Raiders, for me, are just flat out bad. Pete Carroll is probably one and done here. I don't see how he survives, especially if they continue to effectively tank with some incredible weapons. I mean, John T is... I'm convinced he's going to be a really, really big deal. They maybe have the best tight end in football. They've just traded away their other best offensive weapon in Jacoby Myers, which is just shameful. It's giving up on the season in the worst way. They've got one of the league's best edge rushers. They're not terrible around the ball otherwise, but they will conspire to lose every game they play from here on out. They're dumb. I take the Dallas Cowboys and I fucking hate it.
Yeah, Cowboys, especially since Overshawn's back in practice now, so that linebacker core will be a lot better, and suddenly they have someone that can cover Bowers. They won't be able to fully contain him because, as you say, best tight end in football, but they can at least slow him a tiny bit. And obviously, there's the whole factor of the Cowboys have an additional push behind them to win this game because of recent events for obvious reasons.
My prediction is I would rather watch an entire season of Holby City than this game. It is going to be that shit.
I will not stand for this Holby City slander.
Yeah, I won't either.
No.
Holby City's great. You take it back. You take it back.
I will not take that back, sir. I will not take that back.
I am outraged.
In fact, you know what? The car crash that will be this game could feature in Holby City, because of the wreckage and the aftermath and anything like that. So, two rubbish things can go together.
See, guys, do not take his opinion for it because he's clearly... See, he doesn't even know his things. He's mentioning Casualty and not Holby City.
Casualty's better. Got
Of course,
got a better theme tune and everything.
Well, Casualty is better because it's the only one on the air. Holby City finished airing almost 4 years ago.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I would rather watch a new episode of Holby City, which is nothing. I would rather watch nothing. I would rather watch nothing. God,
you've got me.
City
You really
lovers.
got. I can play up for the FSU comment earlier. I would not stand for this Holby
I was
City.
about to say.
I miss my guy Hendrick, and my mum knows. We were literally talking about Holby City earlier.
Your guy Henrik. Oh my God! Right.
Yes.
This is maybe the angriest we've had on this show.
He lets me take shots at Florida State with Virginia Tech, but no, Holby City's the thing off limits.
He doesn't really care about FSU. That's become clear.
And apparently he really cares about Holby City. I'm going to have to work this into I will find a way to exploit this.
And with that terrible disappointment...
I didn't give my prediction yet. Yeah, I've already said I'd rather watch Holby City than this game. Sorry. I don't know what I hate more. Do I hate more the Dallas Cowboys, which I hate a lot, or Pete Carroll's face? It is a very, very tough choice. I don't know what to hate watch more. Pete Carroll is terrible. I'll say the Cowboys. But they're both equally dislikable for me. So, although probably below those two is Holby City, so I could stomach Pete Carroll over Holby City. So,
all right. With that, we're gonna end. We'll see you on Sunday for the game. Go back and watch a college football podcast, which aired yesterday. Some really good stuff in there. I am dying for the loo, so I'm gonna get out of here. We'll see you on Sunday. Let's go Lions, one pride.
One pride.